Nepal is one of the developing country, and like in other country, Nepal has the similar health problem among children, and the Nepali government is very much concerned about the child mortality that we have in Nepal. In Nepal, the child mortality that's under 5 is 118 per thousand, and infant mortality is 79 per thousand. So the government is very much interested how we can reduce the child mortality. And if we look at the other situation which really contribute to the mortality, and they are the pneumonia, diarrhea, measles, and malnutrition. So these are the main contributing factor for the child mortality. So Nepali government, Ministry of Health, has developed different policy to eliminate these problems, and the main in 1990s, when the government look at in their policy and see how we can reduce child mortality, then they look at the two research was done in Nepal, and those were Nepal Nutrition Intervention Project that was done in eastern part of Nepal called Sarlahi, where they gave vitamin A capsule to children 6 to 60 months, and they found that the kind of situation we have in Nepal, the kind of problem I mentioned before we have in Nepal that contributes to the mortality, you can reduce mortality by 30%. And that really encouraged Nepali government to think about this research. And then there was another research was conducted in western mountain of Nepal called Jumla, and they found that if you give vitamin A capsule to children of Jumla 6 to 60 months, you can reduce mortality by 30%. So this was the situation in 1990, and the government was very much interested how we can turn this study into a program and reduce the mortality of children in Nepal. So that was the basic activities going on in Nepal and the information we had in Nepal during that time. So the Nepali government, along with all other partners, they established a program called National Vitamin A Program, which was targeted to supplement vitamin A capsule to all children and also increase the food intake, vitamin-rich food intake of those children. And so there were a lot of international and national organizations who has been involved in this program. Then the Nepali government, with the help of USAID and UNICEF and AUSAID, Australian Aid, they started to implement this program. So that's where a Nepali Technical Assistance Group, that's an NGO, has established, and I belong to that organization. So the Nepali Technical Assistance Group, they took the vitamin A program and started orienting, following the Ministry of Health guidelines throughout Nepal. So this National Vitamin A program started in 1993 with 8 districts in the beginning, and then it moved to other districts, and right now we are in 69 districts out of 75 districts in Nepal. Let me tell you something about how we implemented this program and how this program contributes to achieve the goal of Ministry of Health in Nepal. This program utilizes female community health volunteers that we have in every village of Nepal. So in total we have 40,000 female community health volunteers who are pure volunteers. They don't get any enumeration for or the salary for their work. So these volunteers mobilize community people, mothers, children to get health services. So the vitamin A program, took this opportunity and to supplement vitamin A capsule to all children. We mobilized, when I say we, that means Nepali Technical Assistance Group, along with the Ministry of Health, mobilized these volunteers to supplement vitamin A capsule to children. So the NTAG was very much involved in that part, and working in this project for 10 years, what we have been able to do is empower these women who were basically illiterate and they have not been able to, or they were not actually going out of their home and doing this kind of thing. But through participatory training methods and providing support to them, different kind of support, the moral support, giving them different skills, showing them how they can motivate their counterparts, the children, the pregnant mothers, how they can work with the local leaders, how they can motivate. Through those kind of intensive training given by Nepali Technical Assistance Group's staff, we have been able to mobilize so far 38,000 volunteers. So let me give you one example. Just last April 2000, this program supplemented vitamin A capsule to 2.9 million children in 69 districts in 2 days. So you can see the magnitude, the potential, the power we have among these female community health volunteers. So this is the one of the potential the Nepal has, which can be used not only for the vitamin A program, or can be used in any health intervention program in Nepal. So in that sense, we can say that Nepal is really lucky to have all these volunteers in their village to support pregnant women, lactating women, and children. So taking this lesson, and if we could implement or use this strategy to other programs related to child and maternal health, we are pretty much sure, and I think particularly I'm definitely sure that in Nepal we can reduce mortality by diarrhea, by pneumonia, by malnutrition, and by measles. So then question comes, how long we can supplement vitamin A capsule? And the program has not only concentrating on supplementing vitamin A capsule, but it also provides information or knowledge about what are the vitamin-rich foods available in different parts of Nepal. If you look at the geographical situation of Nepal, we have flat land, Tarai, where you grow vegetables. Then we have hills, where you grow a little bit, not much. And then you go to high mountain, where it's very difficult to get the green veggies. But even though this program has been able to collect or gather the food they eat in those areas and then discuss with the people there how they can use the foods they eat so that their children will have enough vitamin A so they don't need vitamin A capsule. So that part is also working very well. But as you know that, I have mentioned it before, looking at the infant mortality in Nepal and looking at the different problem we have with the worm infestation and the food habit, cultural beliefs and practices, those things has not been utilized properly. So that's why this program is focusing, telling people what they can do with those things they have in their house, how they can use in proper way so that they can increase the health status or the vitamin A status or the micronutrient status of the children of their family. So that's why if you look at the program not only focuses on supplementation, but it also gives a lot of emphasis on how a family, how a community can take charge to increase the micronutrient status of their children. So I think that has this program been able to create among the community people, which in Nepal has been very successful, and I think this is the way you can mobilize community to solve the problem of health and other problems. So that's why this program focusing on supplementation, nutrition education, and the third part of this program is really focusing on how a community can work together, how these volunteers can get support from different partners of the community. And one thing, let me tell you, a lot of people, they don't understand, right? And that's what I think in all developing country, we health educator or health provider or development worker should be focusing on is everybody forgets the volunteers is really helping their children. So when somebody helps to volunteers, actually they are not helping volunteers, right? They are helping themselves to make their children better. And I think that part is very crucial, and a lot of people don't understand that, right? So I think this program is really focusing on that part. Let the people know that whatever support they are providing to the volunteers is, in fact, they are supporting themselves. So they should be proud. The community people should be proud helping volunteers, rather than saying that I'm helping volunteers. So that kind of part is very crucial. So I think, our organization and this program has taken that part as one of the core element of our orientation, our training, transferring skills, and that's what we have done it. This program has done it, and that's why, as I told you before, in 2 days, 38,000 volunteers has been able to mobilize 69,000 community people to supplement vitamin A capsule to 2.9 million children in 2 days. And I think this is a remarkable success throughout the world. So that's why this program in Nepal has shown that things can be done even a poor country. So most of the time when we sit in a seminar and a workshop, we talk, we are poor. The poverty is one of the problem, right? I think that's true, but at the same time we have to think, one thing I always believe in, that you look at or you look into the underlying causes of whatever the problem is, right? So if you look at the underlying causes of poverty, it's not the money, right? There are a lot of other factors that contribute to the poverty, right? And I think that's what this program is trying to do, right? If you utilize the resources you have, right, and the kind of knowledge you have, and the kind of skills you have, the kind of potential exists in the community, I think we can do, or we will be better than what we are. Maybe not the best, right? But our situation can be improved a little bit, right? And I think that little bit multiplied to a lot, right? So that's another message this program has been able to give to the community, and I think that it has been done in Nepal. And I think this is also a good lesson for all developing country who has been struggling to empower or to mobilize community and to improve the health or the nutritional status of mother, children, and infants. So at the end, what I would like to say is, in Nepal, the National Vitamin A program, even though it's called Vitamin A program, has been able to set an example how a developing country can use the resources, mobilize their volunteers, develop a support system, not focusing only on money, they can do something, right? They can improve, they can move forward, and I think if you move forward, you'll reach to the goal, right? So that's one of the messages we have learned from the program in Nepal, and this has been contributing a lot to achieve the health and nutrition policy of Nepal. Many people, when I present the program, they ask me about sustainability, how this program will sustain, right? And we spend a lot of time to think about sustainability. Then we just came up with this drawing. I just wanted to show it to you, what we think about sustainability. For example, as I told you, the female community health volunteers, she is in one village and she provides service to the children and pregnant mother and lactating mother in that area. So what we think, what is our concept is, if we think and point volunteers and say that the volunteer will do this, the volunteer will do the immunization, the volunteer will distribute capsule, the volunteer will do the nutrition education. If we give all the workload to the volunteers, definitely that program will collapse within 2 years, guaranteed, right? But at the same time, as a programmer, as a community member, as a local leaders, as a community members, if we think this way, right, and we not only say that the volunteer will do it, but we tell ourselves, how can we support a volunteer so that she can supplement my child with vitamin A? Or how can I support volunteers so that she can immunize my child? If you think that way, I think that program will sustain. So same thing we are showing here. If there will be a support from different sectors, from different organizations, the program will sustain. If we just point to the volunteers and say that she will do it, I don't think that program will sustain. So I think this is a very simple way and very we should say very primitive way to define what is sustainability, which is a lot of people, they ask question in many places, many seminars, and many workshops. And then question comes about how do we promote? How do we create awareness? What are the materials we have developed? Right? So I just wanted to tell you a little bit about how the program, the Vitamin A program, has been implemented. When we implement a program in a district, we do a training, we do promotion, then we distribute capsule, and then we monitor, and then we do the refresher training, and then promotion, again capsule distribution, and monitoring. So in training, we train volunteers, as I told you before, female community health volunteers. And then we try to develop a support system to volunteers in order to create awareness among mothers and other people. So how do we do that? We conduct different promotional activities in different level. We do some promotional activities at the national level, and we have the target group of different levels, right? So in national level, obviously we use television, we use radio, but that doesn't get to our real target group. So then we go back to the district level and use all the communication channels the people use at the district. And then we go back to the community level and look at what traditional channel they use to communicate each other. Then we use those kind of communication channel as our promotion. For example, we in Nepali village there are people who will be selling Ayurvedic or herbal medicine, right? And while selling those things, promoting those things, they will be announcing in the mic or microphone or loudspeaker, whatever you call. So we also train those people. He will do his business. In the middle of his business, he will also talk a little bit about vitamin A. We will talk about sources of vitamin A, the days of supplementation, and who should get it, right? So that does not cost a lot. At the same time, the message goes to all the people who come to that market. Not only that, the person who announces it, he's already educated about that. So wherever he goes, the message goes with him. So that's our another channel using, to create awareness among people. The another thing we use, we are using the magician. And the magician, they collect children and people in a big gathering, and then he will pull out the vitamin-rich foods that is available in that area. And then he will talk about the importance of that, and then he will talk about who should get it. And now we have developed one situational presentation. Let me tell you that one. What he does, he creates a situation where a night blind child will come there, and she will ask for the capsule. But this magician or this person doesn't have a capsule. So he just pretends that he doesn't have capsule. What she should do, here a girl who has night blind, she really needs it. So then he says, okay, let me see what does a capsule has, because I'm kind of a little bit magician. Let me see what does it have. So he gives that person a small piece of paper and asks that person to take a piece of each the vegetables he said that it's rich in vitamin A. So that person will take out a piece of each, like the green vegetables and yellow fruits and carrot or pumpkin, and then put into that small piece of paper. So he folds that paper and put it into his bag, right? And then after that he checks his the bag, and then asks the person, take that paper out, and then person take it out and he opens, and here is a capsule. Right? So then he pretend that he's really amazed, and then he asks people, God, look, what does a capsule have? It has, it has your garden green vegetables, your garden pumpkin, your garden carrot, right? So do you have to depend on capsule? No, right? So if you don't have capsule, do you have to panic? No, right? Can you increase the vitamin A status with the resources you have? Yes, right? So we have found that this is a very effective way of letting people know that what they can do by themselves, right? And this has changed a little bit in our society, thinking that the government will do it, outsider will do it. Instead of that, now people have started thinking, we can do it, we have it. We just have to know about those things and organize it, right? So that's another way of very powerful promotion, creating awareness of vitamin-rich food and giving them power how they can do by themselves. So we have two magicians as a staff, and he goes to all different places and does this kind of activities in different schools and different community. And another kind of promotional activities we do is through the female community health volunteers. So what she will do, we have developed we call flip chart. This flip chart, it took us to develop this flip chart at least 2 years. So if you go through this flip chart, it answers all your questions. When I said it took 2 years, not to actually start this, right? We started and we used it in the training, we got the feedback, and then again we modified it, then again take to to the training center. So whatever the questions asked during the training center, we have tried to put that in a picture so that the trainer can exactly answer those questions. So if you look at this flip chart, it tells you everything about vitamin A. And let me tell you one thing, the people usually ask us. So people usually ask us, we are poor, we can't give vitamin A, right? So or we don't have it. So one of the answers is this one. We say you can grow in your garden. It does need a lot of land, right? So instead of selling everything to the market, have something for your children. So that's the answer of one of the questions. And then another time they ask us, we don't have land. How could you grow vitamin A-rich food? We are poor. So this is the answer, and this is exactly what happens in the village, right? If even if you don't have the land, you can grow a papaya near your house, right? You can grow pumpkin on the roof of the house, right? So you don't need a lot of land to grow vitamin A-rich food. So this is the answer of the questions they ask. So this is how we have developed, and sometimes they ask, my child does not eat green vegetables because these are big pieces, he cannot swallow. So we tell them, you can you can grind it, right, and then mix with whatever porridge you give or whatever kind of food you give to them, right? So when you mix it, or you can make a roti, chapati or bread, right? So the color of the bread, the bread will be colored. It's a green color, or if you put pumpkin, it will be yellow color. So the bread will be colored at the same time that will give the vitamin A. So these kind of very practical solution for the questions usually asked in developing country, we try to present that with the picture so that the people can understand, they can do it, right? So then we have all sorts of different messages we try to give through this flip chart. So that sometime they ask, okay, look at this picture. Sometimes they ask us, we don't have a house, where we can teach, or we don't have a room, where we can teach them, right? So we say in Nepal, we don't need a house, right? We are used to, from the ancient time, we are used to do things under a tree. Look at the Gautam Buddha or Lord Buddha, he has also done the preaching under a tree. So, why not about vitamin A? So these kind of very practical solution which anybody can use it, we have been trying to promote. And I think because of that, as I told you, how many women gets mobilized each year. Maybe those things are because of all these simple techniques, simple tools which we have taught them, and they can see that they can do it, right? So I think the empowerment is one part. People can say that we can do it. And let me tell you other things we do about promotion. Okay, these are the promotion about the program, right? Now let's see promotion about the volunteers. This is the one thing we do to promote the volunteers. Says one of the volunteer, she is illiterate, but she works very hard, right? So what we do, this is our greeting card, Happy New Year. We send to everybody, right, with her picture, right? So in the beginning we got a lot of questions and criticism for this one. They were saying, why do we put the picture? It's a new year, right? It should be something interesting, wishing for the new year, right? And our answer was, yes, we're wishing for the good child health in the future, and they are the one who can provide it, right? So why not to have her picture there, right? So again, here I give you another picture, right? This is also about the female community health volunteers, and we always tell them, look, the volunteers, you look at how she's putting folding her hand, and what is saying inside that, please help me to help your children, to immunize your child, to give vitamin A capsule to your child. Please help me. That's what she's saying. She's requesting, right? So we send this card to all people, right? And this card gives the message that the volunteers, they are desperately needs your help, your support. She is requesting, right? So I think these are very internal kind of thing people have to understand. If you just look at it, maybe it doesn't give you a lot of sense. But if you try to understand it, there's a lot of things behind that, right? So these are the different kind of things we do. These are another kind of volunteers. They are together. They are very happy, smiling. So this is the different things we do in order to motivate or promote female community health volunteers. So sometimes people ask me, what does it do, right? And I think we have to understand that, I don't know in developed country, but in developing country, if anybody's picture or if anybody's name goes out into a paper or into a card like this, that's a great honor. Nobody gets it, right? So this is one of the way they think that throughout Nepal, everybody loves them. That's why they have to love their children. And another thing we have done, and I think this is a unique for Nepal. So we always say that in order to have this kind of healthy baby, so then we have a small pocket calendar, and this is getting very popular because you can put into your pocket, and then behind of this you can see the treatment of the different eye disease with vitamin A, and if you look inside you have all the dates, and it's very handy. You can put it into your pocket, so anytime you need you can take it out. And let me tell you one secret things about it. Just producing materials does not help a lot, but we have been using different techniques how to promote this. One of the thing we do when we distribute this, right? Like right now in Kathmandu, we have distributed to everybody this. So when we go and revisit, any office, and when we meet them, we purposely ask them, what date is today, right? And then if we don't find them taking out this and telling the dates, we ask them, what is our calendar, pocket calendar, right? And if you say he doesn't have it, then we ask, if you don't get it, then we give you immediately, right? If he has it, then we'll say, please, carry your calendar all the time, right? So we did that in 1 year, and now everybody has calendar. Whenever I go to any place, before I tell them anything, they say, look, I have your calendar in my pocket. So it's not a producing things, it is the way you promote it, right? So I think that's one thing we have learned, in many country, in many developing country, when they promote a program, they develop different kinds of materials, right? But that becomes what do you call a thing of showcase, right? You put it into your cabinet, and when people will come, you show them, look what we have done, right? But actually people may not be using it, right? So that's one of the things we are very careful in this program, and I think that's one of the message we want to give to other country, that you have to make environments so that people will use it. And then after that, we have different kind of educational materials, like this is for vitamin A capsule to postpartum women, and people can hang it and then talk about this program. And then another thing we have is posters. We don't have many, but we have few. These are the vitamin-rich food we promote. And one other thing, let me tell you, we haven't put here animal food, because when you put animal source in the poster, I think in most of the developing country they question that. They say, can they afford it? Can poor people buy the animal food, right? So instead of actually accepting, they will have a tendency of commenting on that and blaming government, and putting out a lot of questions. So because of that, we have just put the plant sources, because they are available, they are affordable, right, and people eat it. Okay, so another thing we do in order to promote female community health volunteers. Here we have a healthy baby, and if you look inside, then we have, here we go. Here we have, this kind of round thing, and in India and Nepal they call this as a tika, and that goes to the forehead, and it has a vitamin A logo, right? And the vitamin A logo is pumpkin, papaya, mango, green vegetables, right? So they always put in their forehead, and the reason we produce this, there's a conceptual concept about that, because when you meet a person, right? When you meet a person, the first thing is to look at his forehead, right? Or between the eyes, right? And that's where you put it, right? So our thinking is, when you meet a person, right, or when female community health volunteers meet a person, right, the first thing they should see is our logo, right? So that you can understand, the pumpkin, importance of pumpkin, papaya, green vegetables, right, and carrot, right? So okay, so this is not a very, very important, but I think that these are the one of the things, which really makes them happy, and makes, help to promote the program with a little cost. And then we have different other kinds of materials. This is another thing. This is a newsletter. We gave this to community members, and one of the beauty of this is, in this page we put the poem or the song written by female community health volunteers. And as I told you before, when I think in developed country too, when your name will be in a paper or book, people like so much, they get very happy. So that's why when their name or their poem or what you were saying is pretend here, they think they are great, right? So that's why we ask them to write a poem or song, but has to be all vitamin A, right? So these are all songs and poems written by female community health volunteers, and we promote them. And then we have this newsletter, and this talks about the vitamin A, and one of the things, let me tell you about this one. Here we call these things we call mool mantra. I don't know how to translate that, but mool mantra means, those are the points you should remember every day early in the morning, right, before you do anything, right? So in order to make people, right, if they really want to reduce their child's mortality, what are the 3 things they should remember every morning, right? And these are those, right? So again, these are different way of presenting things, right? As I told you before, I mean, if somebody, people has asked me, does this, really work well? I don't know, right? But the combination of this has really worked well, because everybody is talking about it, right? So these are the different ways we promote the vitamin A program. See, this is another case treatment. The health post, they just hang this on the wall. So these are the different ways we promote. And let me tell you one secret thing about different kinds of. See, this is also a case treatment protocol, and this is also a case treatment protocol. First we develop this, and then we develop that. The reason, we develop this, and we gave to all the health facility people, right? And next time when we went and did the supervision, we didn't find any one of this. We didn't find any health facilities. And then we asked them, what are those case treatment protocol? And what they did, they opened their briefcase and then say, here is it, right? So, and this was not for the briefcase, right? This is supposed to be, present in the health facilities, right? And we asked, why do you put it there? They say, oh, if I put it here, it will get dirty, right? So that's why you have to remember, when you produce a material, don't produce very fancy one, right? Because people love fancy things. Maybe they will frame it and put it somewhere else, right? So if you really want to have a mass media thing, if you want everybody to know it, don't make very, glary things, right? And that's why we produce this one, right? So now they can, you know, they can hang it, right? So if they hang, everybody will see it, right? So they don't put this one into their briefcase, right? So again, these are the different, you know, very small things, but if you look at the contribution, you know, it's a lot, right? So I think, and you know, you might be thinking that I'm talking more about vitamin A, right? But let me tell you, what I'm talking about, how to communicate, what I'm talking about, how to motivate people, what I'm talking about, what strategy, what kind of a strategy helps a developing country to promote anything. And vitamin A is one example, right? So you can use this kind of techniques, this kind of concept, you know, to any program, right? And I think that will help to have a very effective and efficient communication. And these are all based on experience. These are not you know, because somebody's mind came or somebody knows about it, because these are all developed by the people or the community where we worked, right? So I think because of that, all these materials have certain attachment of the community. So this is not what YENTAG developed or the organization developed, but this is what the community developed. So I think in any program, if you get that kind of concept and develop it, people accept it, you know, because as I told you, you know, then people will tell you that, oh, this is what I told them, this is my contribution, right? So they will be promoting those things, right? So that kind of, you know, that kind of philosophy we have taken in developing these things. I think, you know, I have told you about the health problems in Nepal, how the, you know, the different you know, contributing factors for those problems, and you know, how you know, the Nepali government is addressing that. And then I gave you, there are many programs going on in Nepal, but I just gave you one example, is vitamin A program, right, which is started in 1993. And let me tell you one other thing, you know. You know, and I also talked to you about how this program has been able to mobilize, you know, thousands of volunteers, you know, and then, you know, and provide service to children with a very little financial support, right? So this program has become a model program in all developing country, right? And you know, the concept of this program can be used in any program, not only in Nepal, in all developing countries, right? And I think because of that, you know, and I think, you know, the world has recognized it, you know. So because of that, last year, this program has got, you know, won, you know, this global health award. They call Best Practices in Global Health 2000, right? So Nepal National Vitamin A Program has won that award. And I think that's a recognition, or that award tells that, you know, whatever the mechanism has been used to mobilize these volunteers, to support these volunteers, to reduce the mortality in Nepal, I think, you know, as it says, it's the best practices, you know, has been shown in Nepal and can be used throughout the world. Nepal, but I just gave you one example, is vitamin A program, right, which is started in 1993. And let me tell you one other thing, you know, and I also talked to you about how this program has been able to mobilize, you know, thousands of volunteers, you know, and then, you know, and provide service to children with a very little financial support, right? So this program has become a model program in all developing country, right? And you know, the concept of this program can be used in any program, not only in Nepal, in all developing countries, right? And I think because of that, you know, and I think, you know, the world has recognized it, you know. So because of that, last year, this program has got, you know, won, you know, this global health award. They call Best Practices in Global Health 2000, right? So Nepal National Vitamin A Program has won that award. And I think that's a recognition, or that award tells that, you know, whatever the mechanism has been used to mobilize these volunteers, to support these volunteers, to reduce the mortality in Nepal. I think, as it says, it's best practices, has been shown in Nepal and can be used throughout the world.